Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. If you're new here, hi, my name is Ntwaniengomane. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back and welcome to another video on this channel. If you're watching this video, you have not subscribed, guys. I looked at my analytics the other day and I realized a better majority of people watching videos on this channel have not subscribed. So take a second, check down below if the red button is grayed out. If it's not, click on it. It is absolutely free and you will be helping this channel grow. I actually want to talk about a very interesting topic, and I have this whole background here because I just knocked off work and I thought it's a good time to actually record this video. Let me put this on silent in case somebody calls me. So today I want to talk about the updated cost of living. I did a cost of living video, I think last year while I was still fresh in London. I had just landed in the country and I was still trying to figure things out, and it's been a year later and things have gone up drastically. Inflation has showed us flames, and so things have gotten more expensive, and I thought, you know what, let me do an updated video just to give you guys a sense of how much things are now and what my cost of day-to-day living, or well, month-to-month living here has become like a year later. And then at the end of the video I'll talk about where I am investing my money as I live in London, if I'm making my investments here. Yeah man, so just give you like an idea of where my money's at in terms of investment, in terms of savings, and then we'll talk also a little bit about where specifically I'm allocating my money to in terms of what sort of investment vehicles, if I can put it that way. So we'll talk about that a bit later at the end of the video, so make sure to watch until the end. Let me start, right? Actually, let me start because I have my notes here. I think the biggest thing that I have on my list of expenses, and I'm going to break this down on a monthly, so you get a round figure per month how much you maybe would need if you're looking to be in this country, or if you're here and you're trying to gauge if you're overspending, underspending. I mean, by no means am I the norm, you know. But let me start with my biggest expense, and that is obviously my rent and my bills. So I live in a 2-bedroom apartment and I am sharing with my flatmate. Luckily for me, when I got this place or this apartment, we signed a 2-year lease. So it's been, I think, a year and 6 months now, and we're still living here. So our rent has not gone up. You know, after the first year, nothing has changed. Our bills are pretty much consistent. We get billed an all-inclusive amount at the end of the month, so both including rent and bills in one amount. So we do get a breakdown of how much the bills are and obviously the rent, but I hardly ever look at it because it comes up as one debit. So I'm just going to tell you like the actual one debit. So for rent and bills, we pay around £2,000, about 2,020 pounds altogether. So divide that by 2, that means I pay around 1,011 pounds per month for rent and bills. So the great thing about that is that I'm obviously sharing the apartment, so that brings my cost down. Second to that, I have a 2-year lease, so the rent has not gone up since inflation has been going up, and since the prime rate, or the base rate as we call it in the UK, has gone up over the last year. The second to that is my council tax. This is a funny one because in the last year my council tax was basically higher. I think it was £8 higher. I used to pay £8 higher every month, but since we've come now into the new tax year in the UK, my council tax has gone down by £8 so a month. So I pay like we pay £160 now for the both of us. So divide that by 2, I pay £80. If you're wondering, council tax is basically a tax that residents pay to the local borough for the maintenance of the local neighborhood, to take care of the elderly, to take care of young children, to bring in facilities, the lights, the cleaning the streets, the police that you know, look after our neighborhood and all of that. So yeah, we pay that on a monthly basis, and it's £80 for me and my share. Again, it helps to have a flatmate because then we share the cost of the council tax. between the two of us. And then those are like my two most expensive things that I pay for on a month-to-month basis. The not so expensive part is obviously I have a data plan on my phone. I need to be connected when I'm not in the house. I do have Wi-Fi in the house, but when I'm not in the house, I do have a data plan to which I pay like £10 a month. And I get all the, you know, calls, free calls, unlimited social media bundles, and you know, all of those things. It does not include though international calling. I still basically just use WhatsApp. And then the next to that is my fitness training. I think this is actually one of the most, it's not really like, it is expensive, but I think this is one of my splurge things. Honestly, I do not need to incur £130 for fitness training every month, but I do. So yeah, I pay £130 to my trainer to do my meal planning and to do my workout plans every month, and then guide me through them and all of that. This is obviously like a lux spend. You don't have to incur this, but I do have it in my budget because I've been struggling and my health is quite important to me, so I pay that every month. And I want to get to like the important bits, so things like groceries, things like transport, things like socials, outings, and ultimately travel. So what I do is on a monthly basis, I put away, or I give myself an allowance, and that is about £400 a month. In this allowance, I will buy my groceries. From that allowance, I will transport myself to and from work and to any social outings, gatherings, girls' nights, drinks, whatever that I decide to do in the month. And I will also include in there the lunches that I buy at the office when I do go to the office. So let's break this down. So my groceries, I spend like £25 on average a week. I buy my groceries on a weekly basis because I found that it is more efficient. It helps me eat the food that I want to eat that week without having to buy things in bulk. I know some people do save buying things in bulk, but for me, I found that things go bad, or like I bought a whole pack of potatoes, but I don't feel like eating potatoes in week 3. So I just buy my stuff on a week, and I spend £25 a week. So £25 by 4, that's about £100 a month on groceries alone. And then transport, I go to the office on average twice a week. That's been the trend, I think, since the beginning of the year for me. So with transport, I would say I spend about £7.60 per day. So round trip to and fro, £7.60 per day, times by 2, times by 4 weeks. So I would say I spend on average about £60 on travel to the office. But obviously I have to add on that, like travel to social outings. Maybe I'm meeting the girls, maybe I want to go to the park, or maybe I want to go shopping, stuff like that. So I'm just gonna round that up to like £100 per month on travel, including socials and going to the office. The next is socials basically and outings, but in like the cost of like the outing, the social, the food, stuff that we do. Maybe we go to a museum, maybe we want to go eat a 3-course meal at some restaurant, maybe want to try out like a new brunch spot, maybe I'm out and I just want to buy like, I don't know, iced tea or whatever, iced coffee, or you know, eat takeout or whatever. So for that, on average, I think I would spend like £25 on an outing. And I normally do that like on average twice a month. So we do like these monthly brunch dates with my friends, and then maybe I've added like an extra, you know, one other extra time that will maybe like go out. Maybe a friend is celebrating a birthday or something like that. So for that, I would say I spend £25 on average on an outing, and let's say I do that twice a month maybe. So that'll be like £50, right? And then lunch, right? So when I go to the office, I have fallen into the habit of buying lunch, guys. I was not this person last year. I don't know what happened, but for some reason now I buy lunch at the office. Luckily, our lunch at the office is subsidized, so it is at reduced prices. I pay on average £3.50 for lunch at the office on a day. like I said, I go to the office twice a week, so times 2 times 4 weeks a month, that will come to about £30 a month. So in total, all of these things come to about 270, let's say £300, right? But I give myself an allowance of £400 for all these 4 categories, just so I have peace of mind to like spend. If in 1 month I want to buy maybe a piece of clothing or something like that, then I do have the money. So over and above that, there is obviously travel. Travel is very much on the desk. We are traveling, we are international girls. So for travel, honestly, I put away £200 a month, and it's not even based on I want to travel to this place or the plans that I have to travel. I just do that so I'm not cash strapped when the time to travel comes and I have to pop out like £600 or anything like that. So on a monthly basis, I put away £200 towards travel. Even when I do not have plans to travel for that specific month, I still put it away, because when I do have plans to travel, most likely than not, I will need more than £200. So I just put that away. So in total, adding up my rent, adding up council tax, my data plans, my fitness training, the allowance that I give myself, and the travel, I come up to about £1,900 per month. So that is sort of like my cost of living. I think it's a lot actually, but you know what, I am grateful that I get to split the bills in my house and my apartment with my flatmate, so that really helps. I know for some people this is probably a lot more, especially if you're living alone, and you obviously paying your rent alone, your council tax alone, and all these added costs onto it. So I think 1,900 for me is on average what I spend on a month-to-month basis, just so I can live. Obviously you can take out some things in here that are not necessarily like run the fitness training, like why am I paying £130? You could literally just pay for a gym membership for like £10 a month and do your own meal planning and do your own workouts. But I feel like for me to have a start to know what to do and to sort of see a bit of progress, I needed help. So I decided to do that. You don't have to do that. And then second to that is travel. I think, you know, especially in your first year, if you just moved, you don't have to do all these fancy countries every month like people do. I honestly didn't go anywhere last year, but it was not because of finances, I must say. It was because I couldn't get a Schengen. But you don't have to include the £200 into your budget for travel unless you do plan to travel. Then I think it is advisable to do that. Now let's get onto the investments, right? Like, where do I put my money? Is your money in the UK? Is your money in South Africa? Where are you investing? Where are you saving? And all of that. So for me, right, last year I got to a point where I assessed the UK and compared to South Africa in terms of interest rate, in terms of, you know, what could I get in the market? Where can I put my money? Where can I invest? And let me give you sort of like what the interest rates are in the UK compared to what they are in South Africa. So in January 2022, which was last year when I landed in the UK, the base rate in the UK was actually 0.25%. So what we know as prime lending rate in South Africa, in the UK is 0.25%, or was 0.25% in January 2022. While in South Africa, the prime lending rate at that same time was 7.5%. South Africa had a higher interest rate compared to the UK. So what does this mean? Basically, it means that if you are planning to put your money in a fixed term deposit or any vehicle or investment vehicle that gives you interest that is prime linked, you are better off putting your money in South Africa because it has a higher interest rate. Of course, you know, the critics can come onto the comment and say, but you know what, the pound is stronger than the rand, and I 100% agree. In terms of the currency strength, of course, if you have pounds saved up, it's a much stronger currency than the rand. But for me at that time, and in terms of the interest that I'm getting, just in absolute terms, not taking into account of course the currency differences, South Africa seemed more like a better investment or a better place to have my money than the UK. But if you're not investing in you know, prime linked investment vehicles. Let's say you're maybe investing in shares that just grow, then I don't think it matters much where you put your money. In fact, it might be beneficial to have your money in the UK, because obviously the pound is stronger than the rand. Obviously, it's a year later now. Things have changed, interest rates have gone up, inflation has creeped into our lives. Right now, South Africa's prime lending rate at the time of recording this video is 11.25%. Obviously, this video is at the end of May, and in June again they will revisit this, and there's anticipation that this prime lending rate will obviously go up, while in the UK the base rate is sitting at 4.5%. so you can still see that in absolute terms, of course, you are more likely to make more interest in South Africa than you are in the UK. But obviously, yes, the pound is stronger than the rand, so if you want to take into account that exchange rate difference, and also the fact that the rand has deteriorated quite a lot. I think we're sitting at 24 rand to the pound now, so you might have to think this decision and actually compare the pros and the cons and what outweighs what in making that decision. But for me personally, because my money has been in South Africa for this while, it just made sense for me to keep it there and not to take it out to bring it to the UK, because also you need to think about the cost of transferring your money from one state into another state. That comes with charges depending on how much the money is, and all of that. So for me, the cost benefit analysis just didn't make sense for me to remove all my investments and all my savings and all my emergency funds from South Africa and into the UK. So that's just sort of my thinking and my mentality behind it. But in terms of where in South Africa is my money, like, what are the vehicles that you have in South Africa that is growing your money? The first one I want to say is tithe. And I know this can be controversial if you're not Christian, or maybe you're not at that point where you are paying your tithe or whatever. I won't dwell much on this topic, but the first vehicle that my money is in tithe. And I know people might say, what, that is not a vehicle, it's not bringing you any interest, but whatever. I don't want to go into that, but my first investment is in tithe. The second one is in real estate. So I do invest in real estate in South Africa. I do invest not necessarily in listed real estate, but in a brick and mortar, like buying of rental units to rent out type of thing. So I do have my money in that as well. The third one is a balanced fund. I have a balanced fund with one of the FSPs in South Africa, or what do they call them? With one of the financial institutions in South Africa. And then the next one is a share portfolio. I do have a share portfolio with Easy Equities, where I also sort of manage my own portfolio. I decide what index fund to invest in, I decide how much to invest in, and I know, and it's transparent with the fees that I have to pay in that share portfolio. The last thing that I have is a tax-free savings account, and I do have that with Easy Equities as well. You can also do a TFSA with them, and I guess the idea with the TFSA is to max it out. So basically 36,000 rand a year, which is about 3,000 rand a month. So that's what I try to do. The last thing is my emergency fund. And I know I mentioned I have my emergency fund in South Africa, so you might be thinking, well, why do you have your emergency fund in rands when you are living in a GBP denominated economy, which is obviously much more stronger and much more expensive? I must say that I do have a portion of my emergency fund in South Africa, because that's where a lot of it is, and it has always been. It didn't make sense for me to transfer such a huge chunk of money into the UK and have to pay that transfer fee for that amount of money. So what made sense for me, and what I ended up doing, is I left my South African emergency fund in South Africa sitting as it is where it is, and I just sort of started building another emergency fund here in the UK to cover for unexpected expenses here in the UK that would be pound denominated. So that's what I decided to do with my emergency fund. I didn't transfer all of it in here. Actually, I didn't transfer any of it. I just started rebuilding from scratch an emergency fund in this country with this gauge for this economy and with this currency. So that's sort of where my cost of living is at. I hope this video was helpful. If you are looking for cost of living, if you are looking for an updated version, interest rates have gone up, I think this video will help you to sort of gauge how much you could spend on a month to month. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, comment down below, give me little hearts. How do they make it? Give me little hearts down in the comment section and let me know where your money is. What are you investing in? What vehicles do you have? Drop it in the comments. If there's anyone that you think, you know what, Ntwani, you should know about this, drop it down below and let me know. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Bye.